Good afternoon, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on a Monday edition of On Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We are powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. And of course, fresh roasted coffee. And we always like to welcome back in our good friends over at Play It Again Sports, two locations in Mount Laurel and Denver. You can always get live with me as well. Get social with me on the YouTube channel, XSR1029 FM. We are on X as we speak. Very easy to do on this Monday, the 27th of October, 2025. I would ask you guys if you had a good sports weekend. I can tell you once again, it is the same old song. I mean, the NFL, we're right now, we're at the point of the NFL where the rubber is starting to meet the road, is it not? We're starting to see, after another weekend in the NFL, which teams are starting to separate themselves. Now, in my backyard, obviously, we focus a lot on what's going on in the NFC East. Now, yesterday, again, there are so many layers to unpack and just kind of peel back on this Lunes Manolo Monday Mentioso Locador de Radio Man Up edition of On Q. Now, I will say this. I was thinking, am I going to come on the air and be hot and bothered and just absolutely disheveled like last weekend after the Giants had a colossal collapse on the road, up 19 against Denver in a game they should have won? No, I'm not going to do that today. It's certainly not a Woosah Wednesday, but I will say this. The NFL has a major issue on their hands. And it's not only when you start to talk about the integrity of the league, but now we're starting to get into this conversation of everything transpired with what went on in the NBA. How can you not watch that Giant and Eagles game yesterday and think to yourself, what the hell is going on with the officiating? Now, in a game in which, if you were to kind of rank it in order of disheartening moments yesterday as a Giant fan, yeah, 38 to 20 off. Bad. The Scadaboo injury, horrible. You never want to see it. The kid goes down having a brilliant rookie season. Just the air was sucked out of that stadium for a lot of the Giants fans that went down the turnpike to go into the link. So that was just a disheartening loss, if you will, as an injury. But listen, we got to talk about the refs. And I hate talking about the referees in the NFL because it's low bearing fruit and it's just, we can make an argument every weekend that there's bad officiating. But yesterday, there's a positive to come out of yesterday. There's a major positive to come out of yesterday. And the positive is that we might have seen the end of the Tush Push. We might have seen the end of the Tush Push. And I've got a variety of reasons for that. I want to get into the officiating. I really do, because it was just a debacle yesterday. I mean, it was very tough to watch. We are going to go around the league. As I mentioned, we got a lot to get into. You're starting to see a little separation in the NFL, which we will get into. But I definitely want to get your thoughts as well. Don't forget, you can connect with me. Very easy to do. And I know 5 o'clock, we're going to do a quick timeout. We're going to come back, top of the hour. We wanted to start a little early today. I'll get into the mono on the other side. Got some live reads I got to bang out, but keep it locked in on a Monday. I already know you guys are going to comment in. Keep it locked in. We have a 30-second, if that, quick timeout. We'll be right back on the other side. All right, I promise you it'll be very fast. All right, so let's get into what transpired yesterday. The NFL has a major problem because the calls yesterday in that game between the Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles were absolutely an abomination. And I believe yesterday the best thing to come out of the nonsense, they're going to really have to look at the tush push going forward. And here's my thoughts on a couple things. If you look at some of the horrible officiating, right? Horrible. So if you look at the refs, you look at the injury, you look at a piss poor job by the defense that just didn't show up and start to make business decisions. To me, Scatterboo going down was huge, and it took the air out of that team, right? Then you got the lack of effort by the defense. But the story, and it is, again, it's almost like a national story when we talk about the NFL and the refs, the failure to officiate the game properly, the failure to actually know what the hell you're doing and get your heads out of your asses. I mean, if you rank some of the worst calls, and i.e., the worst was the tush push, fumble, no fumble that occurred that I believe changed the complexion of the game. Now, am I going to sit here and suggest the Giants would have won that game? No. But you had the false start on Mailata. That was horrible. You had the OPI on Slayton late in the game. That was horrible. Okay. You had the block in the back by Robinson, which again was an absolute joke because ultimately Tracy was already being tackled. That was a BS call. You had the call on Brown, which was a BS call on the pass interference. And then you had the one that I think ultimately everyone's been talking about over the last 24 hours, and that was the quote, tush push fumble that wasn't. And if you watch this game again, yesterday, and you watch it again today, there's a reason that you can't tell me you have to ban the tush push. You can't tell me it's got to stay alive. It's got to get banned. I'm going to tell you why. It's not even at this point. They don't even know how to officiate it. You got Jalen Hurts. You have a game a couple weeks ago in New York when the Philadelphia Eagles ran 4 straight plays of tush pushes, 4 straight tush push. And what happens when you have the tush push play? You've got the tackles pushing, the tight ends pushing. It's an overload. You got the running back pushing. Jalen Hurts moving his legs. And what do they say? Forward progress. Forward progress. So what do you have yesterday in the game? Again, short yardage situation. And now you got Jalen Hurts. Clearly, watch the play. Even the most naive, stubborn, clueless, lackadaisical, rat-like Eagles fan can kind of friggin' figure out that was a blown call against the Giants. Okay? And I'm telling you, you've got Jalen Hurts now moving his leg, going forward. Thibodeau clearly, as you reach over, even if it's where the yard markers or you're doing it in the goal line, you're still reaching over. The play is still active, right? Forward progress. Allow the play to continue. But no, what happens? Clean swipe at the football. Thibodeau has it. It's clearly a fumble. Clearly a fumble by Jalen Hurts. Clearly a fumble by Jalen Hurts. Thibodeau rips it out of his hand because he's reaching over like a goal line. So in a goal line situation, you're allowed to do that. But yesterday, if it's another position on the field, you're not allowed to do that. It's got to be a goal line situation. And I'm telling you right now, what happened Sunday in Philadelphia cannot happen again. You cannot reach beyond the line to gain to ensure that you get a 4th down conversion. Okay? You just can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't. And then you got Thibodeau ripping the ball away from Hurts, and it should have been New York's ball at the 10-yard line, period. Period. It should have been New York's ball. They just didn't get it right. There's really no other way to say it. They did not get it right because the officials do not know how to properly officiate the play. And it's obvious fumbles aren't fumbles, then the play cannot remain. And then what happens? The Eagles go a couple plays later and they score and they go up 14-7. That's pretty much all she wrote. So again, you have to I don't understand how people can't see that. You don't even have to be a fan of the Eagles. And I get it. The Eagles fans, listen, some of you guys are absolutely clueless because I can tell you right now, if that happened against you guys would be going batty. You would be going absolutely batty right now if that happened for you guys. You would go batty. It's a rule that you can't have it subjective. You just can't. And again, given what the NBA is going through, how do you not question the integrity? Seriously, it's ridiculous. You take the push tush away, that team's 500. It's not a football play period anymore. Just get rid of it. If you can't officiate it properly, and it changes the complexion of a game, and you do it 4 straight times in New York and you're talking forward progress, go and watch the play. I don't know how anyone can't be objective and sit there and say, oh my God, after Thibodeau has the ball and he's rolling around on the grass, the whistle blows. And the OPI on Slayton, horrible. The Mulata play definitely jumped off sides. You realize the tush push play, every player on the Eagles jumps off sides on the line. It's a fact. It's a fact. Now listen, at the end of the day, the Eagles absolutely destroyed the Giants. They dealt with the injury, they dealt with bad calls, and they just never were able to get, the juice back in them, the light back in them. And I told you, two things were going to happen. I said this on Friday's show. I said, we're going to see where this team is after that debacle. If they go out there and they hang around and they play hard and you lose a game by 10 or 13, you can live with that. But if they go out there and I think I said get waxed like 33-13 and there's no effort and the defense stinks again, the head coach has to be again on the hot seat. And he is. And he is. But I'm sorry, for the life of me, you cannot sit there and tell me how that's not a fumble. And you cannot sit there and tell me how this play, you can't have it. The Jackson Dart's arm going forward, that's like bang, bang, almost subjective. The tush push can't be a subjective play. It can't. It just can't. You just can't fumble the call with that. You just can't. And again, I'm not going to suggest that the Giants are going to win that game. But does it change the complexion of the game early? Yes, you had 5 horrible calls. You had the PI on Corey Black. You had the illegal block on Robinson on Tracy. Oh, by the way, the defender already tackled him. You had the Slayton OPI. You had the Milana false start, and then you had the tush push. And like I said, the forward progress crap is too subjective. And that's why you need to ban it. Get rid of it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm happy this totally went down like this because the play died. That tush push died in Philadelphia yesterday. And good for Tom Brady for calling out the referees. So listen, it's not even about manning up on a day like today because I thought the Giants would be a little competitive and at least kind of cover the number and show some heart. And listen, the Eagles are a vastly better team. Of course they are. They're defending Super Bowl champs. The Giants are a banged up team. They lost players on the secondary. You lose Scatterbill. These are not excuses at all. These are not excuses. But again, there's so many plays, and I'm also of the belief the whole arm is going forward. And listen, that's a play that went against the Eagles. Blandino's talking about Dart's hand, wasn't coming forward on the strip sack a couple weeks ago and basically saying Nix's hand was coming forward on a strip sack. Like you can't figure it out. But the tush push, that's it. It's just got to end. It's just ridiculous. It really is. And then again, defensively, finally the Eagles offense wakes up. They run the football. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is an indictment on A.J. Brown not playing. You knew Saquon was eventually going to go off, and he's the biggest friggin' fraud of them all, by the way. I mean, this guy still talks about the Giants more than they were talked about it. And the other thing, it's like I said, man, all you have to do is look at these guys jump every single play on the line. It gets nauseating. But the Eagles set the tone because they got the ground game going with Saquon. They ran for well over 200. And the problem that I have now with the Giants defensively is that you didn't give the effort. You got a Tank Bigsby play, nice back, not Saquon, not all world, who breaks a 2nd and 21. That's all about coaching and effort. So now I'll man up on some of my bad picks, but I'm not going to sit here on a Monday and give coup de grace to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to friggin' do it. Absolutely not, man. When I'm still waiting to get my flowers for Thursday. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. You're expected to beat the Giants at home, a place where you've dominated them since 2013, right? Technical difficulties up your ass. How about that, Bunker Boy? There's no flowers owed. There's none. You just can't recognize it. I don't even like to call people just blockheaded or stubborn. When you get beat, you basically sit there and congratulate the other guy. When the guy gets beat, then he will congratulate you. That's a give and take. That's how it works. So we don't really fester into clown talk or rats. We just don't do that. You take that tush push away, this friggin' team is 500. I can tell you that right now. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for when they get their asses handed to them come playoff time. Knock their little cocky asses off the little pedestal. Now, I will say this, good job by giving Scadaboo the round of applause because that shows they respect him. And good job by Big Don, who I think is a little corny, but Big Dom giving Scadaboo some pizza and some, what was it, steak sandwiches and hoagies yesterday, visiting him at the hospital. That's a nice job. Credit where credit is due. That's classy, unlike some of our friggin' listeners on this friggin' Monday. I think the bunker still can't recognize it. They can't. It's like BBCT. That's all it is, right? It was a blown call, same as the missed field goal with the phantom whistle. Should have been it. No, you're not getting it. You're not getting a blown call. That call changes the whole complexion of the game. Okay, it changes the complexion of the game, and that's what you're not seeing. And it's consistently happening every week with this play. You can't. You got to ban. You just got to ban it. It's not a football player anymore. It's just not. It's just not. 4 straight times you do it with forward progress, right? A couple weeks ago. But now all of a sudden we're going to blow the whistle and say, no, no, no. Forward progress stopped. You're allowed to reach over the goal line, but you can't do it when you're trying to leave for 2 or 3 yards. Come on. Come on. Listen, Eagles are a better team. No one's disputing that. Giants are not a good football team. They've got a boatload of issues. And I see Kevin chiming in from Jackson saying, you're talking about the injuries, but yet you're killing the head coach. Come on, man. Come on. You serious with that nonsense? Come on, just stop. Ready? You just can't. Contrary to popular belief, the bunker does not control the refs. The bunker needs to go take a walk, right? Go take a walk. There's no tape to mark. None. None. There's literally no tape to mark. I don't know what the hell you're talking about with this nonsense. None whatsoever. And Kevin, you're wrong. I hate to say it. I get it. You're a Giant fan. You're as ticked off and as annoyed as I am. But the bottom line is, explain to me how there are other NFL head coaches who can deal with injuries. But yet, Shanahan, you're going to tell me that the 49ers are not an injury-ridden team? But yet, now, they got smoked yesterday, but yet they're still playing hard. And they've got players that can step in. Why? Because they have a good GM. That's what the NFL is all about. You have to have depth. But yesterday, I'm sorry, man. And listen, I'll get to some of these comments too. And I know there's a lot of angry and there's a lot of gloating Eagles fans. There's a lot of angry Giants fans. That's fine. B chimes in Q. Let's be honest. It's harder to stop the tush push when the refs are against you. Listen, that's a 7-7 game with 13 minutes to go in the second quarter. When Saquon scores that touchdown, you figure, the Giants are about to get blown out. They're about to get blown out. And then the field goal's missed. The Giants go down the field, and here we go. And they tie it up. But that clearly was a fumble. RJ chimes in Q. So let me get this right. A tush push can last long enough for the online to push the quarterback, but not long enough for the QB to reach the ball and fumble. It's effing ridiculous. The more I watch the play, the more confused I am about it. No whistle had been blown. I mean, it's a fact. You line up legal, check. False start, check. Fumble, check. Come on. I mean, just be honest. Explain to me why is it such a play that is not properly officiated? I just really want to know. They got screwed, period. The fumble, it was wholeheartedly a fumble. They got screwed. And again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they were going to win the game. And I'm not going to sit here and cry in the fresh roast of coffee on a Monday. Because ultimately, they got waxed. But it does change the complexion of the game early. That's all I'm saying. And the flip side, hey, listen. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles got their ground game going. And we kind of saw that. I know people are sitting here and we talk about when you just put up regular stats, it doesn't have to be gaudy, gaudy numbers. I mentioned this, now everyone's jumping on it. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. We're talking about all these other quarterbacks in the NFL, and you just look at Hurts's numbers, and clearly he should be in the MVP conversation. I'll get your thoughts on that. Let me get back to some of these comments, even some of the asinine ones. Contrary to popular belief, especially Dog from Mount Laurel, the bunker does not control the refs. We have no affiliation with the five families. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. See, here's the problem. And this is where the bunker just doesn't get it. And the listeners who DM me a lot, because they just, to be quite honest, they're done with the bunkers. Done with the bunker boys. The bunker boys will never give credit when they are beaten. They only come out when they win. That's it. That is rat-like behavior. That is, rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. I mean, it's just Bush League behavior. Bush League. But again, karma, it's a fickle thing in the world of sports, man. It is a fickle thing in the world of sports. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Sarge chimes in. Q, I don't think you're one and all. I think you're making a very astute point. It's not officiated properly. And if we're still having this conversation, then enough is enough. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. And again, I'm not saying it if it turned around, if this was the Eagles in Dallas, the Eagles in Washington, the Eagles in Carolina, I would still say it. That play yesterday, come on, man. It was a bad call. It really was. It was a bad call. And you just can't have that in the NFL. Not when guys, you know how hard it is to win in the NFL? It's really, really hard. JP chimes in. Q, I know you're going to talk MVPs, but I know you mentioned this last week with your buddy Lloyd. Look at the ground game with the Colts. How do we not say Jonathan Taylor is the MVP? Funny you mentioned it. Funny you mentioned it. We talk about quarterback. I text my buddies this. I said it on Back Your Play with Lloyd. We can talk about Daniel Jones all we want. But ultimately, that ground game for the Colts has been absolutely fantastic. Jonathan Taylor is putting up monster numbers. We're going to talk a little more about that when we go around the league. Don't bring up karma. We have decades of good karma saved up, 63 to 2017. Hey, do me a favor, Ghost of Luca Brasi. You know what happened to Luca. I mean, you want to swim with the fishes? You want to go to the bar and have an issue? That's fine, because that's what happened to Luca. So just, you might want to change that handle, by the way. You just might want to change that handle. That's all I'm saying. And karma, it's fickle. When you run your mouths and you yap your gums, karma will get to you. Hayden chimes in. Q, what'd you think of Dart's performance? Listen, I'm a Dart fan. I'm a Dart fan. The problem is, like, Jackson Dart, going back, I'm watching the game in its entirety today. And I'll tell you, man, his film better than his numbers. He had a couple of bad drops. Slayton, I think Theo Johnson, he put the ball perfectly. The kid can play. They got their quarterback. I mean, the maneuverability, shaking, sidestepping, sliding. I mean, the one throw he made, I think it was an 8 or 9 yard, just a laser running to his left across his body, laid it in perfectly. The play to Slayton, which was another BS call that nobody wants to talk about, was a great throw. And he improvised again. He bought a little time in the pocket. He moved around. That was a horrible call that was taken back, oh, by the way. But it's going to be interesting what they do with Brian Dable, because the GM might have to go because they have no depth. They've had kicker issues all over the place. They paid a lot of money to this defense. I don't hear anyone. Where's Dexter Lawrence been? Sexy Dexy. He's been a no-show. An absolute no-show. Their secondary has issues. Banks can't play. These guys were just, out of a defensive alignment. Bowen's got to get killed. I don't know how Shane Bowen has a job still, right? I mean, I just don't get it. They've got issues. I told you, one of the reasons I thought they were going to be a 3-4 win team. It just, they're not good. They're not good. And are you looking at are you looking at the quarterback play? Are we measuring wins and losses? I am of the belief with a young quarterback. I don't care who they are. I mean, look what's going on with the Titans right now. That kid is combustible. Did anyone notice that? That kid is a combustible player, man. And I get it. You're losing ball games. It's not fun. I understand, but he has to keep his wits. He is a young kid. That is a young team. And I'm speaking of Cam Ward. And they got rolled over by the Colts. That was one of our strong plays on Back Your Play. Literally said the Colts were going to roll them. Oh, by the way, Jets, I gave you the Jets. Congratulations, Jets, Aaron Glenn, all the Jets fans chiming in. That was a money line hit. That's another game we gave you, so I don't have to man up on that. But you look at Cam Ward, I mean, this kid's combustible. This kid is showing zero maturity. Like zero. So you already lost a head coach. Now you're taking out on Mike McCoy. And man, listen, you need to just settle down. You got to settle down. And then you look at Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart is basically just playing. He's just slinging it. He's just slinging it all over the place, and he's making plays. And by the way, no Scatterboo, no neighbors, right? No neighbors. I mean, Hyatt was a healthy scratch. What does that tell you? Jackson Dart can play. They just, I don't know what they're going to do with the head coach. And I gave you all my scenarios prior to the season when you go and you start a rookie sooner rather than later with a head coach who's a lame duck, wasn't even given a contract extension. The NFL is about wins and losses, and you have to find ways to win games. You just have to. How do you think about this? And Q, I think you're way overly critical of Daboll. I think you sign him up for 2 more years. You let him groom Jackson Dart. You get another wide receiver. You got to go out and get another edge rusher and shore up that secondary. I'd be more concerned with Joe Shane coming back than Daboll. I don't know how you can say that, though, with a straight face. Honestly, I don't know how you can say that with a straight face. The head coach, your responsibility, obviously, you take care of your coaching staff and you coach these guys up. And the Giants, you had that horrible loss against the Dallas Cowboys when they were about to steal a game and Russell Wilson turns back the clock and you blow it defensively, and then you do it 2 weeks later. And you're also on the road and you're up 17-3 against the Saints, a horrible team, and you turn the ball over 5 times. I'm just not on the Daboll train like you guys are. Dart and Scatterboo had a spark against the Chargers and the Eagles. That spark wasn't as bright as the media thought. I mean, see, there you go. That's it. That is what we call the dickhead comment. And that comes from a classic Eagles fan. I mean, that's, again, the kid gets hurt. The kid gets hurt. By the way, you can argue an illegal tackle by Bourbon. I mean, you want to talk about that on that tackle? See, nobody wants to talk about that because, again, it didn't happen to your player. I mean, so you want to talk about an illegal hip drop tackle, or you just want to forget about that? See, the thing is now, the Giants are the second or third youngest team in the NFL. Second or third youngest team in the NFL. Eventually, they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a competitive team. And they're going to find a way to win games. That's the toughest thing to do in the NFL. But don't sit there and tell me that, not as bright as the media thought. Dart's been outstanding as a rookie. Are you kidding me? What the hell games you been watching? He's been outstanding. This kid's a rookie. This kid is a rookie, and he's hanging in the pocket, and he's making plays. And I don't think a lot of people thought that, this kid, when he was going to get drafted, and the Giants were looking at him, he's the only quarterback in Super Bowl era with 8+ passing touchdowns, 4+ rushing touchdowns, and fewer than 5 giveaways in his first 5 career starts. Everyone wants to throw little nuggets when it comes to the Eagles and all these other teams, so I'm giving you a nugget on Jackson Dart. There's no Jackson Dart slander right now, 5 games into his NFL season. Friggin' clown. What's going on, brother? Chino chimes in. Dex is either still hurt or enjoying his new contract a little too much. I think it might be both. I think it might be a little bit of both. He's just has not been a dominant player. And you pay these guys to be dominant. Defenses win championships. You need your best players to step up. And they just haven't been able to do that consistently. Burns has. Scotty G ruined the G-Men season. Listen, I don't even really think they weren't going to have a season. Like, it was about the maturation process of Jackson Dart. And they should be better than their 2-6 record. I think they'll play the 49ers tough. I think they can go on the road and beat Chicago. I don't see them beating Green Bay. I don't see them beating the Lions. The Patriots are really good. Maybe they get the Commanders. The Vikings, basically, they're going to shelve Carson Wentz. I think he's going to have surgery on that shoulder, so he's done. You got the Raiders. They're not a good football team. Then you close with the Cowboys. They might get 2 or 3 more wins, and that's kind of where I projected them. But this is the NFL. The NFL, you are gauged by wins and losses. Yes, with a rookie quarterback, I want a rookie quarterback to progress. I mean, think about what's going on right now. If I were to tell you guys in the AFC, here are your top 3 teams in the AFC. Indianapolis, New England, Denver. After 8 weeks, you tell me I was crazy. And I told you the Pittsburgh Steelers were a bunch of friggin' frauds. That's clear as day. They're a fraudulent team. Buffalo got back to their winning ways because they're a veteran team. And, they basically just ran roughshod over the Panthers. Now, they lose Oliver with a torn bicep. That's a big loss on the defensive side of the ball. But they're also running the ball offensively. So they're opening things up. But those 3 teams I gave you, I don't think anyone saw that coming. But it's all about wins and losses. And think about these 3 teams that I just gave you. In the AFC, New England, young quarterback. Right? Young quarterback. Indianapolis, journeyman quarterback. That was a cast-off. Denver, young quarterback. Nobody saw this coming. And then you go to the NFC. Green Bay had a nice win last night. The Eagles, they're 6-2, and Jalen Hurts quietly putting together an MVP season. Tampa Bay, they almost stubbed their toe again, but they got the win. Seattle is a very good defense. Detroit is Detroit. The Rams are a very good team. And the 49ers, despite the fact that they lost, they should win 9 or 10 games. Now, you look at Chicago, they came back down to earth a little bit. Carolina came back down to earth a little bit. The Dallas Cowboys, they can't stop anyone. It is a week-to-week proposition in the NFL. We cannot sit here and say with the utmost confidence, this team is great. This team is a Super Bowl. We can't. Even Kansas City, even the Philadelphia Eagles right now, I can't do it. I can't. That was probably their best complete game that we saw all season long because they got the ground game going. And once you get the ground game going, if you're an Eagles fan, everything opens up. Dave's has been a complete disaster. Even in his COY season, the Giants were 1-4-1 in the division. That is a great point. You have to win divisional games in the NFL, and he just has not been able to do it. He just hasn't been able to do it. Sebastian, Q, loving the show. This is why people think the NFL is rigged. I've never seen a game more gifted to a team. Refs made multiple game-changing calls to benefit the Eagles. In what world is that offensive pass interference and not a TD on Slayton? Look, bad calls happen in the NFL. And it's hard enough when you're not a good football team and you're not talented enough. Like, if you put the Eagles and the Giants in the parking lot Saturday and say, go play 10 times, Eagles are going to win 9 times. They're just clearly the better team. Did the Giants get the better of them 2 weeks ago? They did. They did. Okay, you're allowed to have an off game. That happens. But from a systematic standpoint, a personnel standpoint, a coaching standpoint, top to bottom, no contest. No contest. But you also have to be competitive in those divisional matchups. And for years, the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles have just destroyed the Giants. And to Chino's point, you got to win your divisional games. You have to show that you can match up first with divisional opponents. And yeah, I get it. Their schedule was hard. Their schedule was hard for a team that didn't win many games, but you can't make that up as an excuse. There are other teams in the NFL that have injuries. I look at that AFC North. How about that loss yesterday for Cincinnati? That is a brutal, Brutal loss. I think that was the worst loss of the weekend. The Jets, and again, I'm sure there was emotional lift. Horrible. Nick Mangold passing away at 41 years of age. I mean, it's just brutal. Great player by all counts, great human being for that Jet franchise and organization. Now, I don't know how many people still had ties, but they had that emotional lift, and they won a game against Cincinnati that felt, if we can get on a little run, maybe win the AFC North. And finally, Aaron Glenn says, you know what, the hell with this, we're going for two. We're going for two. And let me say this too. Kudos to Justin Fields, man. Like, I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I have the utmost respect for this kid. This kid got absolutely thrown under the bus by a classless owner and Woody Johnson. Now, Woody Johnson's owners, they own the team. They can say whatever the hell they want to do. And typically, players will wait until they're released or traded, cut, and then they'll basically blast the organization. But this kid basically shut up, took the ball, goes 21 of 32, 244 for a touchdown, and made some plays with his legs. Arguably his best game of the season for the Jets, on the heels of the owner basically saying, well, if we had a competent quarterback, we can win some games. And the Jets put up 39 points. That's a good win for a bad team. And Cincinnati, now you're thinking to yourself, ugh. Baltimore's going to win that division, by the way. Baltimore's going to win that division. They are. I feel like the AFC North, NFC East are both open. They have clear division leaders, but nobody is out of it. If someone gets hot, gets on a run, they have a shot at the wild card. AFC North, yes, but the Eagles are running away. They're running away with the NFC East. I mean, Washington, they got to deal with Daniels and whatnot and that injury. Baltimore may be able to go on a run to take the North. That's probably the first common sense or smartest logical thing you've said in a couple years there. Ghost of Luca Brasi. Yeah. And give credit to Lloyd. Lloyd said this last week or about 10 days ago because of their schedule too. Their schedule, it works in their favor. They've got Miami, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets coming up, and then Cincinnati that might be making business decisions. And right now, 2-5, that would be an amazing job that Harbaugh does. You know what else is very interesting too? Why did you go and bring in Cooper Rush and you're starting Huntley? And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was kind of weird. Lamar Jackson on the injury report and that whole nonsense, right? Like Harbaugh now is saying that it was an honest mistake. Come on, man. You don't think the NFL is going to investigate the fact that Lamar Jackson is practice participation? So if you didn't follow this, Friday, it looked like Lamar Jackson was going to play in week 8. He missed the last 2 games. He was limited in practice Wednesday and Thursday before practicing in full Friday, which basically means if you practice full pads on Friday, I'm not talking about a walkthrough, full pads on Friday, you're going to play, which means he would have been active for the game against the Bears. And that's not what happened. So on Saturday, Baltimore retroactively downgraded Jackson's Friday practice status from full to limited, and then they ruled him out. Now, the NFL is going to investigate this, and rightfully so. So he was able to practice. He was limited to scout team reps. He didn't take any reps with the team starter, but the NFL, the league has a very clear-cut rule about exact scenario. So a player participates in individual drills, but for medical reasons doesn't take his normal repetitions during the team portion of practice. He's assigned to the scout team, should be listed as, quote, limited participation. Participation on the scout team, no matter how extensive, by a player whose normal repetitions would be with the starters, but for his medical condition would not alter the player's proper designation as, quote, limited participation. So because of that, he should have been listed as limited on Friday's injury report. And then you saw the fluctuation with the line as well. Harbaugh is a little sneaky when it comes to that kind of stuff. We've kind of seen that before. A little sneaky there, no doubt. Very, very, very. Is that Vinny with a new handle? Mm, interesting. Madman might be on the side. It changes every day, does it not? It does. I understand the fudging of the injury list is forward upon, but is this the case? It's a real big deal. He did not play. It is. Just it is because of what I just mentioned. So when the Ravens retroactively changed his status Saturday, that prompted the NFL investigation. Listen, and ultimately, what are you fudging with? The injury report has a direct affiliation correlation to what? To betting lines. Harbaugh's done this before. Look, they need Jackson back under center. Harbaugh said he's not involved in the injury designations. I mean, he said it was an honest mistake. But again, they're gonna look into it. Q, even in a lost season, I think the Giants are doing everything to maximize Jackson Dart's rookie year. That's KC. I agree. But again, 38-20 wasn't even close. You can blame the refs, you can blame the defense, you can blame Scattaboo, right? And it was a horrible injury. I feel so bad for this kid, but they're 2-6. They're 2-6. The funny thing though is that they're 2-6, and if you've heard me for years, I cannot get over the fact that their season's always done by Halloween. I make a point of reference. It's a joke. It's an ongoing joke. I talk about it so much. But I do have this different feel with this team. I think there's a sense they might have their quarterback. I think they have to figure out, which is always tough to do, ways to win. And you can't also believe all your press clippings, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. Baltimore doesn't have Lamar Jackson, who's an MVP quarterback. We can all agree. He's a great. I mean, you have to figure out a way. How am I going to game plan against Lamar Jackson? Tough to do. It's very tough to do. Derrick Henry has not really gotten off this year. And yet, Chicago goes on the road. Goes on the road after they beat the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Commanders, and the Saints. Now, are we going to sit there and say, all right, now you got to go on the road, AFC North, tough opponent, physical game? And the Baltimore Ravens just dominated them in the trenches. They just dominated them in trenches. I mean, everyone was saying, hey, the Bears are back. The Bears are legit. Yeah, nice little run. But I wasn't sitting there drinking the juice right away. And what did you see from the quarterback? The quarterback reverted back to what? Mistakes. Yeah, he threw for 285. Yep. But he had a back-breaking pick and he missed a lot of throws. It's like smoke and mirrors at 285. It's so hard to learn how to win consistently in the NFL. The teams that have done it, the teams that have been there before, Super Bowl winning teams, playoff tested teams, Kansas City, Baltimore, the Eagles, Buffalo, Detroit, the Rams, they know exactly how to close the deal. They know how to win football games. These younger teams with younger quarterbacks or bridge quarterbacks or first year head coaches, they're still learning how to win. But in the case of Daboll and the Giants, so someone asked me over the weekend, what do you make of the fact that Daniel Jones is playing like an MVP? I said, well, a couple things. You can look at it like this. Well, Brian Daboll coached him up and it didn't work out in New York, and now he's exceeding under Shane Steichen. Or you can say that's a really bad indictment on Brian Daboll and the Giants. Now, the reality is this. With a guy like Saquon, who still can't keep the Giants out of his mouth, and Daniel Jones, those two, albeit had success in New York, limited, they were off injured. So you move on from that. Now they found a home, and certainly Daniel Jones has found a home in Indianapolis. Do I think it's a direct indictment of Brian Daboll? I do. But I also believe Daniel Jones is flourishing because the Colts can run the friggin' football. I mean, every time you look up, if you flipped on Red Zone or you watch the highlights or you go on social media, you look at ESPN, you look at the rat ship, the mothership, and you watch all these highlights. Jonathan Taylor, he's been the best back in the NFL this year, hands down. Better than Robinson, I think. I mean, this kid already has 12 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.9 yards a carry. He's going to put up monster numbers. He's on pace for 1,800 yards, 26 touchdowns. Now, we talk about the quarterback play, and rightfully so, but he's the engine that's making that offense go. He is the engine that is making that offense go. He's having a phenomenal season, and it's opening up that whole offense, and Daniel Jones is comfortable. And that offensive line is keeping them upright, and they're winning games. They are winning games. Stop using his government name. I've never seen Vinny on a legal document. That's true. That is true. Who knows what's whose name actually is? Is Q really named Rich, or is his name Consola or Hector or something Latin centric? And he channeled it in for showbiz. Who really knows? I don't know. That's a very good question. Yeah, it's not Gonzalez. It's not. It's not Hector. It's not. I mean, middle name, I won't really disclose that. But I don't know, man. We just don't know. I think I saw Vinny on the indictment. That is why he changed his handle every week. That's actually a good pull. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. There you go. Anything is possible. Yeah, we just don't know. We really don't know. I mean, it's funny too. I saw that day. They've got what's his name, Antonio Gates. He's floating around right now, having to do with the rigged poker game. It's still, that story's not going. By the way, that story's not going away anytime soon. There's a report that he hosted and played in a rigged poker game. I'm telling you, man, it's the first person to speak, right? The first little rat to start, chirping and opening their mouth. Let's make a deal, because that deal's only on the table until I walk out that door, right? Because your buddy's in the other room. He can't see, he can't hear you. He's getting ready to spill his beans. That's all this is. Who's going to talk first? Is it going to be Jones? Is it going to be Billups? Is it going to be Rozier? Who the hell is it going to be? One of these mafioso raps, or as the FBI likes to say, La Costa Nostra, right? JT is the MVP by far right now. The issue is he tends to be banged up down the stretch, which could affect his MVP roads. I would say right now, definitely in the clubhouse. Now, typically, we always know that the award is reserved for what? The quarterback. So I would still have to sit there. Jalen Hurts quietly put together a really nice season. Quietly. But Patrick Mahomes is still the favorite, which I just don't understand. And Josh Allen. I went through all these numbers with Floyd on Friday's edition of Back Your Play. It's compelling because you're talking about a running back right now, and it looks as though, I pull up the numbers, he's on pace to carry the ball. We're talking about Taylor 304 times. That would be the second most in his career. So it's remarkable. He carried it 330, actually third most. He carried it 332 times his second season in the NFL. And yeah, he's missed some games, no doubt, but he's a phenomenal back. He's having an outstanding. He's got right now over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 14 total touchdowns. I think the Colts are legit. I do. Denver, Bo Nix, my Bo Nix, Denver. I mean, they absolutely, from what I saw highlight-wise, they throttled the Cowboys yesterday. The Bills got a big win. They put up 40. The Patriots, look at the job the Patriots doing. And then you got Miami. So you talk about a fraud in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think now we stop talking about Atlanta. Tua goes and lights them up for 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes, or 200 yards and 4 touchdown passes. So Miami gets to win 34-10. Falcons are a fraud. Cincinnati has a brutal loss against the Jets. Aaron Glenn gets his first win as an NFL head coach. That was a crazy game, 39-38. And now there's talk, what do you do with Breece Hall? If you're going to trade him, you might as well do it now because his value is really high. had a buck 33 yesterday, 7.4 yards a carry. They ran for 254. Hell, what did the Eagles run for? 275? That's unheard of. That was a really nice win by the Jets yesterday under all the circumstances, from the Mangold passing to Glenn being under fire and just going back and forth with the media to Woody Johnson throwing Justin Fields under the bus. That's a really nice win for them. Browns no-showed against the Patriots. Now the question is, when are you going to go to Sanders? When are you going to go to Sanders? They're 2-6. They can't win on the road. They got waxed by 20. Drake May, by the way, if we're going to talk MVP, you have to put Drake May's name in the conversation. You have to. I mean, this is, what do we talk about? Second year progression. This kid's having a fantastic season. He's got 16 touchdown passes, 3 picks, over 2,000 yards. He's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal for the New England Patriots. So I'm sure the talk this week in Cleveland is, all right, you're 2-6. I don't know what was going on. What would Garrett have? 5 sacks yesterday, right? Took him out of the game. They lost 32-13. That team's going nowhere. So when you pull the trigger and you go to Sanders, Gabriel was 21 of 35, a buck 56, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. I saw maybe one highlight of the game, so I can't really speak to it too much. But I know that New England's a pretty damn good football team right now. Bills all over the Panthers, 40-9. Man, I mean, that's a great way to snap a 2-game slide. Now, by the way, if you're curious, Buffalo's schedule coming up. This is a huge game right now. That's next week. Kansas City at home. That's a 425. That'll be Nance and Romo. On the road against the Dolphins, winnable. Tampa, winnable. Texans, winnable. Steelers, winnable. Cincinnati, winnable. At the Patriots, who knows? That might have AFC East implications. Cleveland, and they host the Eagles late, close out with the Jets. They're going to win 11, 12 games. If they can get through Kansas City, they might go on a little run here. So but Buffalo, it's always about what can you do in the playoffs. That's really what it boils down to. 49ers, man, that's, I saw some highlights of that game. Mac Jones, 2 touchdown. They just couldn't run the football yesterday against the Texans. They had 48 yards rushing. The Texans had 157. I mean, CJ Stroud finally shows up a little bit, and they couldn't get to him either. I still believe San Francisco, look, they've got the Giants coming up. That's a winnable game. The Rams is going to be tough. The Cardinals is always tricky. Panthers winnable. Browns winnable. Titans winnable. 9 wins. If you can get to 10, but 9, you should be okay. So you got what? We're 8 in. You got 9 left. Can they go 4-5? Can they go 5-4 to close out the season? And I know they've been just under besiege with all these injuries. But I think they can. So they should bounce back next week. If you're curious, just real quick, look ahead line. In that game, they are favored by 2.5 on the road. But the Texans got the win. They haven't had really too much winning. Tampa Bay, I saw the horrible call with the touchdown coming back with the whistle again, but the Bucs got the win 23-3. The Saints, they need a quarterback. They're a bad football team. The Denver Broncos at home, absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely. Their defense is legit, man. And my guy, Bo Nix, 4 touchdown passes, and they ran for a buck 76. Again, you guys see where we're going here? We always talk about the identity of some of these teams. You got to run the football in the NFL. When you average 6.4 yards a carry, 7 yards, what the Eagles average, like 9? I mean, second and short, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Bo Nix, 19 of 29, 247, 4 touchdowns, and he wasn't sacked. Denver's a very good football team. And this is a team that lost back-to-back weeks in weeks 2 and 3 because of field goals. And they won a game they probably had no business winning against the Giants. I mean, if you want to sit there and say, okay, 6-2, 7-1, but right now they've got the Texans, the Raiders. The game to watch, and it might have AFC West implications, is going to be in 3 weeks when they take on Kansas City. But I like Denver, man. They got a legit defense. They can keep running the football like that. It's going to take a lot of pressure off Bo Nix, and he was slinging it yesterday. He played well. The Colts, we already mentioned, Daniel Jones quietly put together, comeback player of the year, MVP conversation. I was texting my buddy. I said, "You think the Colts and the Patriots are legit?" And he goes, "Once they come into playoffs, no." A lot of people think, Daniel Jones is going to Darnold. He's going to revert back to Danny Nichols when they get to the playoffs. Their win total was 7.5. They're going to cruise by that. And then last night, much ado about nothing. Green Bay puts up friggin' 35. Jeez. The Steelers is there a bigger fraud in the NFL than the Pittsburgh Steelers? Right? I mean, that team is they are fraudulent, big time. Absolutely fraudulent. Imagine what they would do if Chauncey Billups was in above the rim. Oh, not good. That to me, that movie, I think arguably had one of the greatest soundtracks ever. I mean, come on, man. Warren G, we're going to regulate. I mean, that's on another level. The other funny thing about Above the Rim, do you remember the one scene? It was late, like the coup de grace basketball scene. If you remember, like when they thought the game was rigged, and then they what was the character's name? Shep. Remember, Shep comes in. He's a great actor. He's only goes by one name, Leon. But Shep comes in, and then if you notice, late in the game, he stole it, he passed it, and then for some reason he was able to run down his pass, and then he was able to dunk it. You know who died a horrible death in that movie? Poor Bernie Mac. Flip. It's a great movie. Excellent movie. A classic. One of the greatest soundtracks ever. We all know that. Just, you know what? I'm starting to think right now, this is Vince. I'm starting to think this is Vince, who changes his name all over the place, because only Vince says, "Can we have an honest conversation? Does the mob bring people in on the scam? They might treat one guy better than another, but I haven't heard many times about the score they shared. Haven't heard many times about it." Listen, two things. I believe 100% that the Rosie or the Billups, whomever, the in this case Billups, there's two schools of thought here. There's only two ways this plays out. Either Chauncey Billups is just foolish and is just beyond greedy and wants to live that life, right? Portray that role, a gangster, right? Infatuated with the mob, the mafioso. I want to be that guy. And got in bed with them, owed him a couple favors, and then he was on the hook. Or in some way, shape, or form, Chauncey Billups was caught in some compromising position. And I don't want to speculate because, again, guilty, innocent until proven guilty. But there's a sentiment that maybe he just got caught up with the wrong guys or guys, and maybe he was blackmailed, and it was one of these do exactly what we say or else. There's really only two plausible scenarios. That's it. And in layman's terms, I got something on you. Kind of like probably, Jeffrey Lurie has on Roger Goodell, because the Eagles get a lot of calls. So maybe I got something on Chauncey Billups. Maybe he's a victim. Usually what happens is, somebody, you ask him for a favor, and, look, man, I don't know, I'm in a relationship. I think maybe, I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar. I don't want my wife to find out I was cheating. Maybe I was moving money around, whatever. I got to hide money. I got to launder money. Maybe I got caught doing some blow, whatever the hell it is. There's no public evidence at all to suggest what I'm saying is true. I'm speculating. I'm just giving you scenarios. but there's no evidence to suggest that that's why he engaged in this activity or these behaviors. I mean, is it possible he went to the mob for help? I don't know. And then what happens? You find yourself in over your head. You're sucked in. You're done. You're done. There's no way out. Now you're on the hook. You got to keep doing me favor after favor after favor after favor after favor. No, not at all. No, no. I've made my thoughts clear on Tomlin. I'm the whole Tomlin conversation. I thought he should have been fired a couple years ago with Pittsburgh. I mean, that guy obviously he's got a lifetime pass. Shep came in and lit it up. He did. Not Shep. No. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yes. Bernie Mac lost a game where they wagered. Yeah. Yes. He did. He did. I mean, listen, he's got to know better too. Bernie Mac in that situation, right? Birdie was no joke. Would Tupac walk around? He got the little razor under his tongue. Oh man, that was a very good movie. Very, very good movie. Yeah, but Shep was he was a player. Let me get to a couple more of these. Mike in Ohio chimes in. Q, I'm over Gabriel. Give the kid some reps, and I'm going to agree with you. The NFL definitely has a referee officiating issue on their hands. D chimes in. Q, what's this about Antonio Gates just catching the show? KC comes back. Q, who do you like tonight? I'll give you my thoughts. All right. So for Mike's comment, yes, you might want to turn around and go to Sanders. For D's comment, apparently there's a report that Antonio Gates hosted and played in a rigged poker game. And then who's the last one? Was it KC, who I like tonight? Was it Washington and Kansas City Monday Night Football tonight? Kansas City's laying 10.5. And you got game 3 of the World Series too tonight, by the way. What a game the other night, man. Did any of you guys catch Saturday's game? Yamamoto, a complete game and a World Series. Oh, brilliant. Dodgers come right, Blue Jays drop right back down to life with their offense. Yamamoto was a gem. And then this is a huge game, man. Series shifts to LA right now. Series tied 1-1. Glass now is on the hill against a veteran Scherzer. So here you go. Let me get to a couple more of these. It wasn't Shep who threw himself to oop, I think. I think it was. If you go back and watch it, it was crazy. It's like he stole it, got the rebound, passed it off, dribbled, threw it up in the air. It's like he threw it to himself. I mean, it was unbelievable editing. It really was. Remember, didn't he also come out with the boots and the jeans, right? This is definitely Vince. I didn't bring up Sanders, but since you did, I bet good money Stefanski refuses and seals his fate and gets fired after the Jets game. That's definitely, well, we know who N3W Phone W Hudus, a.k.a. Heisman, a.k.a. He 12 Man, a.k.a. Vinny Squadouche, a.k.a. Duval fan, a.k.a. was an original Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Man, we found him out. This is Vincenzo right there chiming in because right away, as soon as I mentioned Shador, like clockwork. When is that game? Let me see. Cleveland play the Jets on the road coming up, right? Hmm. Jay and Deffer chimes in. Q, who do you think the Pats are, or do you think the Pats are legit? You guys, I don't understand why you guys can, the way you guys type in these messages to me. I think they are. I think the Patriots, you got that change of culture. You had the debacle with Gerard Mayo. You bring in the right guy who understands the Patriot way. They're a good team. They play defense. They can run the football. This quarterback is excelling. It's all about the year 1 and 2 progressions, and we are certainly see it. Tom in Summers Point. Look at that. He waits to 6 o'clock straight up. Q, I'm sure you started to show off, whine and bitch and complain about the referees. Ha ha ha. On a serious note, feel bad for your guy, Scattaboo. I'm glad that the Eagles crowd actually showed a ton of respect. Bottom line is there is bad officiating in the game, but they're not going to do anything with the tush push. Who knows? Who knows? New phones, hot this. New phone, who this? Ooh, I like this. I like that. New phone, who dis? I like that. That's not bad. That's not it's better than he hate me or he 12 or he Heisman. Yeah, absolutely. Pronounce new phones, who dis? You got to keep an ear on the street, Q. New phones, who dis? I like that. That's not bad. I still think it's better. No, 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 no. Hold on a second. You go with the grumpy old man. I'm giving you respect. Before it was He 12 man, Heisman, then it was Duval, then it was Vinny Boombots, then it was Steelers fan 66, and now it's He Hate Me. New phones, who dis? That's funny because when you text someone and you have a new phone, that's usually what I respond. Sorry, new phone, who's this? See, I got you. Why do you discriminate too? You always talk about the old man. That's not nice. I don't know where you're getting that. I mean, that's not nice. He has a clue. I do. Just let the grumpy old man mispronounce my name. It's funny. Yes, the digits throw me off big time. It is because I'm trying to squint when I'm looking to this, right? He is like a boomer. I mean, now we know it's Vince. I seriously think Travis Henry had me flagged for my handle. Heisman 12. All right, so you got Monday Night Football tonight. Commanders and the Chiefs. KC's laying 10.5. Let me squeeze in a couple more of these comments. Q, any thoughts on Brian Kelly? No. I know that he had a winning record, and I know they got tired of him. And he's making a lot of money. B chimes in. Q, at the end of the day, you said it months ago. As long as the Giants figure out if they have a quarterback, that's all that matters. Yes. I agree. That's all that matters. Spartan Mike chimes in. Q, always enjoying the G-Man talk. Do you think Dart holds on to the ball a little too long? What were your thoughts with him still in the game yesterday with 5 minutes to go? When I watched it in its entirety today, I'm a little indifferent with that, especially if you're taking a lot of hits. I don't like a design read or a design RPO when you're down 20 and your kid's taking a lot of hit. Like, that's not sustainable. That's the one fear I have with Jackson Dart. I just believe that. And to your point, and it's a very valid one, coaching is so much in the NFL, not really so much in the NBA, but in the NFL. If you go back and you look at some of these quarterbacks that the Giants have had, even going back to, let's be honest, Daniel Jones, when they had Taylor, Eli a little bit later in his career because he was getting older and he wasn't as mobile. You hold on to the football too long. To me, that's coaching. That's coaching. We get on Jalen Hurts for that, right? I mean, I don't think it's rocket science. Throw the ball away if you're a quarterback, but it's a fair point. David chimes in. Q, it's an awful offense that doesn't get guys open unless they're an elite route runner. No rub plays, little misdirection. That comes with the roster. Period. Mike chimes in again. Q, explain to me how every single solitary year, every teams in the NFL can deal with injuries except the Giants. I can't sit there and tell you that they're cursed. I just think they deal with injuries. I also believe that it's on the GM. That if you know your kicker's shaky, you got to bring in kickers. You got to address that. I also look at some of the draft picks. Banks is not a player. He's just not good. Now, did they hit? Sure. They've hit on some players, no doubt. Dart, Scattaboo, Carter, right? They hit on some players. If Dayball takes the fall, then the GM has to go too. That's the way I look at it. That's it, right? Get readers. Yeah. Maybe you need readers thinking that, wasn't a fumble. But as I said, ultimately what's going to happen is that the karma is going to come home. The chickens come home to roost with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're going to see. We're going to see what this team is made of come playoff time. Because that's what it's all about. They got the Packers coming up, the Lions, the Cowboys. So you got some games where they're going to be tested. And, Barkley dealing with that hamstring injury, he's turned out to be what a friggin' fraud Saquon Barkley is. Oh, my God. Shut up already about the Giants. My God. So dealing with the groin, never a good thing, especially as the weather turns a little bit. Right now listed as questionable, but they have a bye. So they've got the benefit of a bye. Let me give you Jalen Hurts' numbers, by the way, because obviously I mentioned Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation. Jalen Hurts has 16 touchdown passes. He's thrown for one. He's got one pick. He's added another 5 touchdowns on the ground. So he's got 20 total, one pick, 1,600 yards. And he's thrown for 300 once this year. His last, oh, wow. I mean, think about this. He threw the pick in the Giants game. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, no picks in his last 2 games. He's been sacked 26 times. His quarterback rating is 114, QBR 67. Plus, he's added another 200 yards rushing, so he's got about 1,800 yards from scrimmage. His season breaks down. His numbers would be 3,500 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, 2 picks. Now, if he's right around there and they win 12, 13 games and they lock in the number 1 seed, how do you not have him in that conversation for MVP? All right, you got game 3 tonight, World Series. You got Monday Night Football, as I mentioned, Washington and KC. Tomorrow, I'll be on the road. We've got the podcast for the breaks and the TBA on the hoops. We'll have that in Belmar. Back on a Woosah Wednesday. Thursday, busy show. Football Friday as well. I'll also drop another edition of Back Your Play with Lloyd. You can check that out on Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Also, I believe we will have an announcement on Friday about a couple more platforms that will be picking up the show. So we'll keep you locked in on that. So you got game 3 of the World Series tonight. You got Monday Night Football. Good stuff with the comments. Well, for the majority of you. Good stuff with the comments. Want to remind everyone we're powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. Fresh roasted coffee, 20% off your first purchase. BYP20. Jersey Shore Breaks getting set for their second season in March of 2026. Play It Again Sports, 2 locations, Clements Bridge Road, and of course in Mount Laurel. Have a wonderful sports Monday. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in for well over the hour. Good stuff with the comments, as I mentioned, for the majority of the time. Majority of the time. Meaning he said, new phones, hot this. New phones, who's this? New phones, who's this? I will allow the jokes to come in. That's fine. By the way, I mean, how about the last couple of weeks? I had to deal with the corporation last weekend, the Bunker Boys this weekend. I get the corporation on Sunday. Chino, be good, brother. Always appreciate you chiming in, as well as the rest of you, except the Bunker Boys. All right, you guys have a good sports Monday. Again, back in the saddle on Wednesday. Be safe, be sound. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, buen día.